they don't assign you seats. You
No.
go and whatever you land, you land. The first flight was half full, so that was great, and the second was completely full. Well, you like that?
No, it is the problem. You have to. We need you to reach. I'll show you in a minute. You're on that side, so you get to run next to the arrows. Welcome to the Garden of the Spirit, class studying apples from the orchard for the second time beginning after Pesach 2014. This class meets in Long Meadow, Massachusetts, the center of the universe, and is held in memory of Malka Ruth Bas Moshe and Margaret Vogel of blessed memory. Apples from the Orchard contains lectures and teachings of Kabbalah from the Arizal Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, based on the weekly Torah portion, superbly translated and explained by Rabbi Moshe Wisniewski. That hasn't changed. Okay, we're on page 500. And I think we need to go to a She said time is good for her. She said 6:50 is good. So she'll probably be soon. Okay. You're gonna be done.
More than done.
Will be good. Okay. Now, oath. The Torah forbids making a false oath. There are several types of false oaths. One type is called a shvuas bitui, an articulated oath. The Torah uses the word if a person articulates, he utters. This refers to a formal oath. That's the first thing. It's a formal oath, like with Hashem's name. Basic could be in a court. The Torah says, but it doesn't have to be. The Torah says someone makes an oath to do bad or to do good. That's what the Torah says. And we're going to talk more about that inside. From the Torah's words, we understand the Torah means if a person takes an oath for something that is permissible, not regarding fulfilling or violating a mitzvah. But something that you do it, you don't do it, it's your own choice. The Torah doesn't care. For example, to do bad can mean if a person takes an oath not to eat. So to do bad meaning he's going to harm himself. He's not going to eat. Or to do good can mean if a person takes an oath to eat. If a person violates his oath inadvertently, that is, he forgot his oath, and he violates, he brings a guilt offering. So the person says, I take an oath on the name of Hashem that I will eat on Wednesday. Okay? Person forgets the oath and eats on Wednesday, and then doesn't eat on Wednesday, then he's going to have to bring an asham, a guilt offering. If he takes an oath, I swear in the name of Hashem that I will not eat on Wednesday, and he forgets about it and does eat on Wednesday, then he has to bring the guilt offering. That's what we mean when we say inadvertently, not intentionally. Now, there are two. We could start here. Okay, page 534. Alan, go ahead.
If someone takes an oath by articulating with his mouth to do evil or to do good to himself, whatever a person may utter as an oath, and he forgets about it and transgresses it, but he knew about it and thus incurred guilt and confesses his sin, he must offer his guilt offering to Hashem.
But he knew about it means later. Oh, forgot about it. Okay. So number two, there are two more articulated oaths. The earlier oaths that are mentioned explicitly in Torah regard something you will do or not do. The second type is regarding the past, regarding what you did or did not do. For example, a person makes an oath, I ate, I swear in the name of Hashem, blah, 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 that I ate or that I didn't eat. In these cases as well, if the person made the oath because he forgot what he had actually done or not done, he brings a guilt offering. Okay, so it was inadvertent, he forgot, made a mistake. One moment, please. Therefore, the Mishnah states there are two types of oaths, which are actually four. Rudy, really important. I'll repeat this when you get back, Rudy. This is really important. So the Mishnah says there are two types of oaths, which are actually four. There are two primary types of articulated oaths: I will eat and I will not eat. These are both for the future, and they are mentioned in the Torah. There are all two secondary types of articulated oaths. I ate and I did not eat. That's a mistake. Okay. These are for the past and not mentioned in the Torah. Rather, they're derived from what is mentioned in the Torah. So the ones that are mentioned in the Torah specifically for the future is called the primary oaths. And the ones that are not mentioned in the Torah are the ones regarding the past, what you did or didn't do. And that is going to be the secondary oaths, because they're not mentioned in the Torah. Okay. It's talking about what you did. So you forgot that you ate, and you swear that you didn't eat. And obviously, you can imagine what that's like in a court. I swear I gave the money. I swear I didn't give the money. You know, I'll tell you, as not just recently, but there's a number of things that I remember that just never happened. I remember seeing something, learning it. I remember seeing clearly. I'll tell you, as a teenager, 19, and I look it up, and it's not what I saw then. It's different. So I don't know how that happened, but it's just, there are things like that. So people have a thing that they're sure it's a certain way. They're sure that they did or didn't do something, and they may take the oath, and then afterwards they realize that they made a mistake, even though it's in the past. Okay, so that is Rudy. This is very important. The Mishnah says there are two types of oaths, which are actually four. And the reason the Mishnah says that is because the two types of oaths, the two types are the ones that are specifically mentioned in the Torah. That what a person will do for the future. I swear that I will do this. I swear that I won't do that. When it says which are actually four, that means including two more regarding the past. I swear that I did something, or I swear that I did not do something. So the Mishnah says there are two types of oaths, which are actually four. Go ahead, Alan.
In the course of explaining the mystical significance of the oath of particular oath, there are two types of oaths which are really four. The Mishnah further on delineates what these types of oaths are specifically, using the example of eating: an oath not to eat, an oath to eat, an oath that he did not eat, an oath that he ate. The first two are mentioned explicitly in the verse quoted above: to do evil or to do good to himself. These are called two principal forms of articulation oaths, or in the Mishnaic idiom, the two fathers. The second two are not mentioned in the verse and are called the two derivative or secondary oaths, or the two offspring. In all four cases, if the person infringing the oath intentionally by eating or not eating, or knowing that he did eat or didn't eat, he is punished with lashes. If he infringed the oath inadvertently by forgetting he took it and eating or not eating, or forgetting that he had eaten or not eaten and swearing, he must bring the guilt offering prescribed in the Torah.
Done? Okay, number 4. The Hebrew word for oath is shavua. This sounds very close to the word for 7, shiva. Same root letters, shin, beis, ayin. It's unusual in Hebrew to have words that are that close with different. Yes, actually, this is Avraham dug a well and called it Be'er Sheva, the well of the oath. Yitzchak, I think, dug a well and called it Be'er Sheva, the well of seven. So you have the same word. They both dug wells. They both called it Be'er Sheva. One is the well of oath, and one is the well of seven. Okay. Hi. So got me in the middle of a result, but I have to get my Zadie fix. There we are. So the Hebrew word for oath is shavua. This sounds very close to the word for seven, shiva. This afternoon I brought some snacks for a dog named Seven. I told him I've been working on seven the whole afternoon. The Arizal, therefore, connects the laws of oaths with the seven spheres of Zerampin and Nukva. So oaths are connected with Zerampin and Nukva. The Arizal will also connect the number seven with the letters of Hashem's name. One moment. 5. 5 is, you have to fill up a lot to get there. Okay, so 5 is it's just a reference. He says, I speak about this over there, but he mentions it and they explain it, so I'll explain it here. The Rizal also says this is discussed in the Zohar in relation to the 7 Hebrew letters Beget Kefres. That's Beis Gimel Dalet Kaf Pei Reish Tav. The Arizal only mentions this as a reference, and it's not really necessary to explain. However, we'll give a brief explanation. Hebrew letters sometimes receive dots or contain dots. The guttural letters Aleph, He, Ches, Ayin never receive dots. The Hebrew word for dot is dagesh, and dagesh really means emphasis. And a guttural letter is soft and cannot be emphasized. How would you emphasize an aleph or a hey? There are actually 2 olives with dots in the Torah. It's just an oxymoron. Okay, the other letters can receive a dot. Now there are 2 sets of dot rules. One set of rules is called dagesh chazak, a strong emphasis, applies to all other letters outside of those 4. The second set of rules called dagesh kal, you can go down, means, yeah, you got it.
Keep going.
Light emphasis only applies to the 7 letters Beged, Kefret, Beis Gimel Dalet Kaf Pei Reish Tav. Again, a dot's a dot, but this means a set of rules for dots. Okay, what's wrong? Confused there? Okay. For example, with exceptions, if these 7 letters, the Beis Gimel Dalet, and 6 letters, Kaf Pei Reish, Kaf Pei Tav, sorry, if the 6 letters without the Reish, if they begin a word, they're supposed to get a dot. It doesn't apply to the other letters that can have dots. The 11 letters that could have the other 11 that could have dots doesn't apply to them. It's a set of rules just for these. Really, it's 6 letters. The Reish really doesn't have the same rules. There are a few Reishes that I found with dots in them. It seems like in Sefer Yetzirah or whatever, they include the Reish in this set. But basically, it boils down to the 6 letters. But it's officially, or theoretically, hypothetically, it's 7 letters.
Ending with dot.
That's a different rule. Hey can end with the dot. That's a different rule. Okay, it's not even called dagesh. I don't know what the word is, mapik. But okay, it's called mapik. Mapik maybe means to come out. I'm not sure. So that is that. One moment, please. Let's go ahead. 6. Back to the number 7 and the name Havaya. There are 4. Yeah, there are 4 primary letters of Havaya, of course. Now, the first 2 letters, the Yud and the Hey, plus the secondary letters in expanded spelling are 7. There's a Yud and Hey are the primary letters. And if you expand them, then Yud is Yud Dalid and Hey is Hey Aleph. That's altogether 7 letters. The last 2 letters plus their secondary letters are also 7. We have Vav Hey are the 2 letters, and it's Vav is Vav Aleph Vav, and Hey is Hey Aleph. So since these are made of the primary and secondary letters, they are called the avos, which means parents, literally means parents. It means this is the primary, forgot what he said. The primary thing. Okay? So now you can go ahead and read page 535.
On the mystical level, this passage discusses the name Havaya as it is spelled out. There are 2 sets of 7 letters in this spelling out, as is mentioned in the Zohar, with reference to the 7 letters that can take a Dagash Kal. The dot that sometimes appears in Hebrew letters is called the Dagash, emphasis point. There are 2 types of Dagesh. Dagesh Chazak, strong Dagesh, and Dagesh Kal, light Dagesh. The Dagesh Chazak appears in letters that, according to grammatical theory, should be doubled. When pronounced, letters vocalized with the Dagesh Chazak should be lengthened somewhat. The Dagesh Chazak can appear in any letter except a guttural letter, since these letters cannot be lengthened when pronounced.
So it says it should be lengthened somewhat. You remember Ira Pollock when he would lane, he would drag out the letters with the dot. Okay. Next.
The Dagesh Kal appears only in 7 specific letters, when these letters appear at the beginning or of a syllable or word. These 7 letters are base, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Kaf, Pei, Resh, and Taf. In pronunciation, the Dagesh Kal changes these letters from their spirant to aspirant forms. In modern Sephardic pronunciation, the spirant pronunciation has been retained only in the letters Beit Kaf, Base Kaf, and Pei. In Ashkenazic pronunciation, it has also been retained in the letter Tav, and in Yemenite pronunciation, it has also been retained in the letters Gimel and Dalet.
What I think is that the letter bet with a dot is the, without a dot is
B, base or base.
Yeah.
Gimel
with
Gimel
with it is g, and without a dot. We also say g. This? Some modern Sephardic pronunciation, I think mostly the Temani, they go j with no dot. The same with the Dalet. It has a dot. And we say d either way, but there are some who without a dot they pronounce it. Okay, kaf. We have differences, and so on. Okay, go ahead. The word for oath.
The word for oath is shavua, which grammatically is the passive form of the word for 7, sheva. Thus, a person taking an oath can be considered to have seventh himself. This leads to mystical interpretation of an oath as a manipulation of the name Havaya using 7 letters. The name Havaya, as we know, can be spelled out in 4 principal ways, leading to the numerical values of 72, 63, 45, or 52. Using the 45 name as an example, the spelling out of the name Havaya is Yud Vav Daled Hey Aleph Vav Aleph Vav Hey Aleph. The name Havaya is often analyzed as 2 subgroups, that is, Yud Hey and Vav Hey. The first subgroup signifying the intellect, and the second signifying the emotions and their expression. If we consider each subgroup together with its respective spelling out, we have two sets of 7 letters.
It says in the Mishnah, there are 2 types of oaths, which are really 4. The first 2 are the 7 letters of the first 2 letters of Hashem's name, and the last 2 letters of Hashem's name. That's the 2 oaths first. Now, then it says, which are actually 4, and that's going to be 7, maybe 7. Tertiary spelling, there are 14 letters for the first 2 letters of Avaya. That's Yud, Vav, Dalid, and then Hey and Aleph, for a total of 14. There are also 14 letters for the last 2 letters of Avaya. Vav, Aleph, Vav, Hey, and Aleph. Okay, go ahead, Aleph.
These are Yud Hey, Yud Vav Dalid, Hey Aleph, and Vav Hey. Vav Aleph, Vav Hey, Vav Aleph, Vav, and Hey Aleph. These form 2 sets of 7 letters. These 2 sets of 7 are called the parents because they comprise the simple spelling and the first spelling out. There are also 4 other sets of 7 letters, these being in the second spelling out. The second spelling out of the 45 name is as follows. Yud, first spelling out is Yud Vav Dalid. Second spelling out is Yud Vav Dalid, then Vav Aleph Vav, and Dalid Lamed Vav. Tav. Hey is Hey Aleph, or Hey Aleph and Aleph Lamed Pei. Vav, first spell is Vav Aleph Vav. Second is Vav Aleph Vav, Aleph Lamed Pei, Vav Aleph Vav. And for the last letter, Hey, first spelling out is Hey Aleph, which is Hey Aleph or Aleph Lamed Pei. As can be seen, there are 28 letters used in the second spelling out, or 4 by 7. Here, the 4 sets of 7 do not divide into groupings similar to the 2 primary 7s, although the 2 sets of 14 are split at the division between the Yud Hey and the Vav Hey.
Okay. So that's how that's what it means. And we're going to keep back to this. There are 2 types of oaths, which are really 4. Or, since the word for oath is also Shiva, 7, there are 2 types of 7s, which are really 28. The primary spelling and secondary spelling for the first 2 letters is 7, and the second 2 letters are 7 letters. The tertiary spelling, the first 2 letters give us 14, and the last 2 letters also give us 14. So again, it would be, there are 2 types of 7s, which are really 28. 4 times 7, Doctor, is 28. Okay. Now, 8. We can now explain the Mishnah according to Kabbalah. There are 2 types of oaths, which are actually 4. As we said, the Hebrew word for oath is similar to the word for 7. 2 types of oaths refers to the primary and secondary expanded spelling of Avaya, and which are actually 4 refers to the tertiary spelling of Avaya, which is 28 letters, 4 times 7. Okay, go ahead, Alan. This then.
This then is the mystical meaning of this passage. There are 2 types of oaths, referring to the first 2 sets of 7, that are really 4, referring to the second spelling out. Explaining this passage of the Mishnah this way answers several questions.
Okay, hold on. 9. This explanation answers several questions of the Mishnah. The Mishnah discusses cases where a person brings a guilt offering for forgetting his oath, or what he did or didn't do. Either he forgot the oath and he went ahead and did it, or he forgot that he did it and now makes an oath. Therefore, these are actually cases of forgetting, not cases of oaths. Why did the Mishnah call them cases of oaths? Should have said there's 4 cases where it's out of his mind, where he forgets. This question is similar to the question of Tosfos on another line in the Mishnah, where someone forgot he was impure and went into the Harabayas and Temple Mount. But okay. So based on our explanation, the word for oath is similar to the word for 7. And the Mishnah wants to emphasize the connection to the sets of 7 letters in Havaya and the set of 28 letters in Havaya. That's why the Mishnah talks about oaths using the word shavuos, like the word shiva. Okay, go ahead, Ellen, explaining. Bottom of that
Explaining
36.
this passage of the Mishnah this way answers several questions. The first, why does the Mishnah refer to oaths rather than cases of forgetfulness regarding oaths taken? After all, it is required that the person forget that he swore in order for him to be obligated to bring a sacrifice. This is similar to the question of the Tosfos regarding the knowledge of impurity. Let the author say cases of forgetfulness regarding defilement. The passage from the Mishnah quoted above continues. There are 2 types of knowledge of impurity that are really 4. Since what is being referred to are cases when a person forgot that he had been ritually defiled and nonetheless entered the temple, it would seem that the Mishnah should have been phrased. There are 2 types of forgetting impurity that are really 4. Yet the Tosfos does not ask this question about 2 types of oaths that are 4, even though this is mentioned before the 2 types of knowledge of impurity that are 4. This is apparently so because the question does not really apply due to the mystical meaning of this passage of the Mishnah as we have seen.
Yes, okay. And another question is why the Mishnah states there are 2 types of oaths, which are actually 4. The Mishnah could have said there are 4 types of oaths. According to our explanation, oaths are connected with 7 letters of Havaya. The Mishnah shows that there are 7 letters in primary and secondary spelling and 28 letters in tertiary spelling. That's why the Mishnah has to say there are 2 and 4. Okay, go ahead. But we can now see.
But we can now see why he chose the idiom of oaths, that is, in order to allude to the meaning mentioned above. Since, as we have said, the word for oaths can be interpreted to mean 7s.
Go ahead.
The second, why does the author of the Mishnah say 2 that are really 4 instead of just 4? 2 principal types of oaths and 2 derivative types could be expressed simply as 4 types of oaths. The answer is that he wishes to allude to the fact that there are 2 parents, that is, principal forms of the name Havaya, and 4 more offspring or secondary types, that is, the second spelling out.
All right, 11. According to the plain meaning, the Mishnah says there are 2 types of oaths, which are actually 4 types. The 2 types are 2 of the 4 types. So in the end, when we say there are 4 types, it's including the first 2. So it's a total of 4. According to our explanation, there are 2 types of primary oath, primary and secondary spelling that make 2 sets of 7 letters. Then there are 4 types of oaths, meaning the 28 letters of a tertiary spelling. According to this explanation, the 4 types do not include the 2 original types, which is better with the language of the Mishnah. According to this explanation, there actually end up being 6 types of oaths. So that fits. There are 2 types, which are actually 4, would mean that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 6, a total of 6. So it's that language works better with this explanation. It's not a question on anything, just because it seems better. Okay, go ahead, third.
The third, according to the simple sense of the law, we have to give this Mishnah a forced explanation. That is that there are two principal types of oaths that together with the two secondary types make four. But when we explain it according to its mystical meaning, the idiom makes sense. There are two principal types which produce four secondary types. In the mystical sense, two that are four means that there are in fact six forms.
Okay. Well, on the other hand, since the 4 letters of the primary spelling and the 10 letters of secondary spelling are part of the 28 letters of tertiary spelling, even according to the explanation that 2 which are 4 are actually 4, can mean that in the end, even according to this explanation, it can mean that even in the end, there are only 4 altogether, just like in the plain meaning of the Mishnah. That's a intellectual exercise. You could look at it either way.
Whatever fits.
He says there, after all, there are 28 letters. That includes the primary spelling and the secondary spelling. Okay, Gershon, are you ready? 538 at the top, if we wish.
Can fit our explanation into the simple way of reading the idiom of 2 that are really 4, because the 2 forms of the name Havaya in the first spelling out are included within the 4 forms of the second spelling out. Thus, in fact, there are really only 4 forms, just as in the simple reading of the Mishnah.
Okay. 13. So that takes care of that. Now I think we're gonna switch a little bit. The Torah says, it takes whatever. It's gonna show up here. So the Torah says, if a person articulates an oath to do bad or to do good, to do bad corresponds to the last 2 letters of Avaya, the Vav-He, and to do good corresponds to the first 2 letters of Avaya, the Yud and the He. Since to do bad is mentioned first, it follows ascending order from the end of Avaya to the beginning of Avaya. Yeah, if you don't mind. Ooh. Rudy, how you doing there? You've been very quiet.
I'm taking it all in.
Okay. Yeah. Now hit the down arrow. Don't make it. Yes, yeah. Go ahead, read inside. The mystical meaning.
To do evil or to do good is that the 2 final letters of the name Havaya tend toward doing evil, and the first 2 letters tend toward doing good. This will be explained presently.
Go ahead.
It follows that this verse is in ascending order. To do evil or to do good refers to the final 2 letters and the first 2 letters of the name Havaya.
Okay. 14. To keep things simple, the Talmud speaks of the 4 types of oaths. I will eat, I will not eat, I ate, and I didn't eat. That's the Talmud says that instead of, it makes it much simpler to represent the 4 types. The Talmud's choice of eating to illustrate the 4 oaths will be explained by the Arizal. Why does the Talmud say I ate and I will eat? Why doesn't it say I woke up on time? I don't know. I sang, I will sing. I blew my nose. I didn't blow my nose. Why eating? We've learned of the 7 spheres of Tohu.
A pastime.
Eating?
Eating.
Because of schnitzel.
Keep quiet.
We've learned of the 7 spheres of Tohu that were totally self-contained and were not interdependent with each other. Gosh, you remember the word that we did it 12 years ago? Huh? It was a word. Mixed. Yeah. I don't remember. As a result, these 7 spheres smashed and broken into numerous shards, 288 to be precise. They are represented by the kings of Edom in the 36th chapter of Bereshit who died. The 8th one doesn't say, by Yamas doesn't say he died. So these 7 are the 6 spheres of Zerampin, Chesed, Yesod, and Malchus. We added here. Who remembers? It's only 3 years ago. The 6. No. We'll December 14th. Go ahead. This affords.
The Talmud's statement. He takes an oath saying, I shall eat, or an oath saying, I shall not eat. Why does the Talmud use eating as the example of the principal forms of an oath that, when transgressed inadvertently, requires a guilt offering? To explain, as is known, the 7 kings that died are the prototype of Zer Ampin and Nukba, which are indicated by the 2 final letters of the name Havaya, Bab, A. 7 kings are the 7 lower sephiros of the world of Tohu. These sephirot were not designed to interact with each other, and therefore, when the light of one passed into the other, their vessels shattered and fell into what would become the lower worlds, filling these worlds with sparks of holiness concealed in evil husks. We also know that in the rectified world, Tikkun, that was constructed on the ruins of Tohu, sephiros metamorphosed into Partsufim, and specifically the lower 7 sephiros form the Partsufim of Zerampin and Nukba. Thus, we may speak of the 6 sephiros of Chesed to Yesod or Tohu as being the Zerampin of Tohu, and the Malchus of Tohu as being the Nukba of Tohu, even though these sephiros became Partsufims only in the world of Tikkun.
It's like the Timex. Takes a licking and keeps on ticking. Okay. So now, 15. The 6 spheros are represented by the letter Vav of Hashem's name, whose value is 6, and the final letter Hey. For Malchus. These are the last 2 letters of Hashem's name. Since the 7 emotions of Toh is smashed, because only spheres of emotions can be captured by Klippa, the last 2 letters of Vaya are associated with the word lahara, to do bad, regarding oaths. When it says that a person articulates or utters to do bad, it means the it means the letters what comes from the letters Vav Hey. It's a dolphin. All right. You take that as a comment. Okay, 539 at the top.
Their hay indicates Malchut. Because of their overabundance of impurities, which is the evil in them, they died and they were shattered. Therefore, evil is in them. Emotions imply at least some measure of self-awareness, ego. The egocentric subjectivity of perception is what meant by the impurities mentioned here. Emotions of Tohu were particularly egocentric, and each one was a thing unto itself and was incapable of interacting with any of the sister emotions or subordinated itself to them. Evil is a state of discord and blockage that does not allow the flow of divine beneficence to reach its proper destination. Later, 2 letters of the name Havaya, indicating the emotions, can be seen as tending toward the formation of evil.
In contrast, the first 2 letters of Havaya are associated with Abba Nima or Chachma and Bina. Klippa is unable to suction nourishment from them. Therefore, they are associated with the word lehetiv, to do good, regarding oaths. Okay, go ahead.
In contrast, the two first letters of the name Havaya, Yud He, signify Ava and Ima. They tend toward doing good, for they are entirely good themselves and they possess no evil impurity. Therefore, they did not die, as is known. First two letters and the Patsufin they represent signify the intellect. The intellect is essentially objective and impartial. Since a person involved and absorbed in some intellectual pursuit generally is looking for truth and has temporarily suspended his ego.
Okay, 17. Okay, now the Torah says do good, which is a transitive verb. I never knew what that meant. There must be someone on the receiving end of the good. The source in Torah for the smashing of containers into 288 shards is from the second pasuk in the Torah. The land was chaos and darkness was over the surface of the abyss, and the Spirit of Hashem was hovering over water. The word for hovering, mirahefet, can be scrambled into the two words, Reish Peches, Mace. 288 died, referring to the shards. The seven spheres of Tohu that shattered descended into Bria, the second stage of creation. They did not lose vitality entirety. They kept enough divine energy just to exist. What are you looking at me? What do you call that? It's like when you put your computer in sleep mode.
Yeah.
Remember those?
Yeah.
We don't have it anymore. We don't use it anymore. It's there, but it's you shut it off and turn it on again. It's like putting your computer into sleep mode. Our copy machine here goes. COT, occupational therapy.
RC, cathode ray tube.
Take your word for it. I'll take your word for it. So the same thing here. This is it's like sleep mode. Okay, it's just enough to keep to keep in existence, to be there. Suspended animation. Okay, so 539 at the bottom now.
It's true, and some aspect of fundamental insurance parts. However, them at in the world of God, with 7 course years, 188 years, element is shedding, and the spirit was hovering over the surface of the water. Word was hovering is scaled and man which can be arranged to and top of 288 sparks died.
Okay. 18. This amount of vitality is not enough to be considered, in our terms, eating. It is the bare minimum of sustenance to subsist until the revival of the dead, which will repair these shards of the spheres of Tohu. And we're going to explain this as we go through. Okay. 540.
This minimal consumption of energy is not termed nourishment or eating, only an absorption of the minimal life force necessary to persist and be reinvigorated in the resurrection, this being the final rectification of the loss of the kings, as is known.
Okay.
Honor.
19. From where do they receive this bare substance? It's from the emotions of Atzilus, from Ze'er Anpin, represented by the last two letters of Havaya, Vav, and He. The value of these two letters is 11. 11 is the number of spices in the incense offering, the Ketores. We read this twice a day in our davening on the Karbanos of Shachris Grossman. The Ketores includes a spice called galbanum, which had a foul taste and is associated with klipa. Because this spice is included in the Ketores contained 11 spices. The number 11 is associated with klipa. Since it didn't stop at 10, 10 is associated with holiness. Okay? But you all know what happens if you overrun your base. You can get tagged out. So the number 11 then becomes a number of klipa. And that's the Ketores is, I guess, to elevate and holyize the holicize the klipa. So that's why there is 11. So then that 11 is the value of the last two letters of Havaya, the Vav is 11. And that's because nourishment to klipa can happen from the Ze'er Anpin. And that's where these shards from the spheres of Tohu receive their nourishment while they're in Bria from the Ze'er Anpin of Atzilus. Okay, go ahead. It follows.
It follows that in the world of Berea, this minimal necessary energy was extended to them from the two later letters of the name Havaya, Bab. The combined numerical value of these letters is 11, alluding to the 11 component spices of the incense that sustain and nourish evil with the minimal life force necessary. Incense sustains evil? Okay. Whoever adds the tracks. 10 is the number of holiness, the number of sephiros. 11 signifies an overflow of holiness spilling into undesired places. And as we have seen, this characterizes evil. Thus, the fact that the incense used in the temple was made out of 11 spices indicates that, in addition to its other qualities, it provided evil with the minimal life force necessary for it to exist and fulfill its function in the scheme of Hashem's plan. That's
Okay.
that's
What? Rudy. Okay. 20. The minimum sustenance that reaches the charge of the spheres of Tohu, symbolized by the first 7 kings of Adam, is not at the level of food and nourishment. A person can live several days without food. He won't have his full energy, but he can survive. The shards of spheres of Tohu are associated with the last 2 letters of Havaya, the Vav and Hey, whose quantity is 11. The number of spices in the Ketores, which provides meager sustenance for klipa. This is why the Talmud uses eating as an example of an oath. To be bad means an oath of I will not eat, and to be good, I have to fix that, means an oath of I will eat. Divine energy that sustains klipa is the bare minimum and does not provide vitality that comes from eating. Okay, good, thanks.
Very good.
Go ahead, but actual.
Sadie. Sadie.
Naturally, and sati did not reach them from this level. Therefore, the 2 letters Bab Hey are referred to by the words toward evil, meaning I will not eat. That is, it does not provide the sparks of the kings trapped inside evil with reality.
Okay. Sorry?
I don't know.
I don't know.
21. After the spheres of Tohu are repaired, They are elevated with the They are nourished from the first two letters of Havaya, associated with the word lehetiv, to do good. This is compared to the oath of I will eat. They receive divine energy at the level of eating, much more than the level of bare sustenance. Okay, go ahead.
After
These ascended back into Atzilus and were rectified. The first two letters of Papaya came into play, which tend toward doing good. This being the oath 7 that I will eat. Then eating and nourishment is given to them to satiety. Yes, that. Same. Much more was required to merely keep them existing from the first two letters of the name Havaya, Yud Hey, which signify Ava and Eva. We now see that quite the Talmud uses the example of eating to illustrate taking oaths and breaching them inadvertently. An oath is a 7, an upper or lower two letters of the name Havaya, with the first spelling out or part of its second spelling out. These parts of name Havaya provide sustenance for the 7 kings, either in the form of minimal energy required to sustain them when they are trapped in the context of evil, or in the form of full feeding satiety when they have been redeemed and are in their resuscitated state of holy rectification. These provisions are alluded by the two archetypal oaths, not eating and eating, respectively.
Okay. The Hebrew word for eating is achila. These letters can be rearranged to achal yud hey, or eating yud hey. Nourishment is at the level of eating when it comes from the letters yud and hey of Hashem's name. Go ahead.
So the word eating, achila, which can be permutated to spell eating from yud hey, indicating that real eating originates yud hey, which signifies ava and ima. Achila, aleph, kaf, yud, lamed, hey. Eating from yud hey, aleph, kaf, lamed, yud, hey.
No. Yeah. Did you go, Leopold? Okay. No, I didn't count them. 22. Can I just read them? It's 23. This is why food. This is why food is eaten with the mouth and teeth, which are situated in the head, associated with Chachma and Bina. If a person does not eat, what do you do? What do you do?
Don't
No,
worry.
no, Gershon, go like this. Take 2 fingers and go like that. There you go. Tap it somewhere. It's situated in the head, associated with Chachma and Bina. If a person does not eat, he is sustained from the energy in his heart, which is associated with the letter Vav of Hashem's name, as we said before.
How's this look? That he receives then from the life force of his heart, the rest of the body aims throughout the 3 or 4 consecutive days of his fast. For were it not so, how could the person survive without food all the day? Well, what's supposed to?
I have my old copy at home too. I could probably. If anyone needs. Okay. What? So first, I'll take care of it. Yes, I'm careful. I'm saying. Okay, we do have something in the back, Alan. You didn't tell me.
Yes, in the back.
How many pages is it? It's only 3 pages. Only three. Okay. There you go. How's your day?